Pascal?
Well, the question I ask is that why is so much of the work around charter school particularly racialized in a way that it's made to seem like the silver bullet for the educational concerns of black and brown communities, but you don't hear any of this fever pitch around charter schools around white communities?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really interesting. That one of the things that public polling consistently shows is that people in sort of wealthy neighborhoods like their public schools, which go figure, they get a lot more funding and have a lot more sort of access to it, and those individuals are not clamoring for charter schools in their own neighborhood for sure. Uh, but I think there's complicated roots to this because there are, some evidence that there is support within some sort of black cities for charter schools, and
Where I'm from, Oakland.
right. So I
Yeah.
think if you look sort of to the origin, and back in the 1960s and 70s, you saw sort of black nationalist approaches or analyses of the problem sort of indicated that. Uh, Local control was essential to sort of building up the type of institutions that would actually be responsive to the demands of sort of the black community, and therefore sort of wresting control from the public school monopoly was central to sort of that project. So I think there is that is part of the story of what's going on. And I mean, part of that is just a response to the reality that there were incredibly unresponsive public schools throughout the country that were not addressing the sort of demands of the community, but that fed into sort of this desire for alternatives to uh, schooling as a public good that now in this current day and age begin to look like support for charter schools. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's incredibly depressing to see sort of that history. Uh, but it's something I think if you're interested in pushing back against sort of the charter school uh, movement, you have to understand that and come up with some way of addressing that concern. Schools actually have not been, in some areas, particularly responsive. What do you do about that is not turn it over to charter schools, which have shown no ability to actually
Well,
address
I
the
mean, a
concerns.
big problem with charters is when they're not profitable, then they close.
Right.
So when you've closed public schools for charter schools, even if the charter schools are like a success in the sense of kids are coming out and there's a positive environment, maybe they even have alternative ways to discipline, like meditation and all this other great stuff. Um, if those schools aren't deemed profitable, then it's and then there's no school for the entire area.
Right. I think one of the things that's like completely unaccounted for in the charter school sort of movement is the incredible amount of churn that has to happen uh, as sort of part of this. There's a great Washington Post article from a couple years ago that really sort of focused on what it actually looked like, and it was following parents in I believe the DC area that would just move from one charter school to the next, like three in the same year, precisely for
Mhm.
the issue that you just said, that when it's not profitable, then they can just shut down and leave. Uh, and I think that should also be a question of sort of understanding like what's actually going on in the inside and what would make charter schools profitable. And part of that has to do with educating the easiest to educate kids. So one of the most consistent findings that we see coming out of the charter school literature is that they really don't they systematically undereducate uh, students with severe disabilities because they are incredibly difficult or expensive to educate. Charter schools have a range of ability to sort of choose the students that they want to educate. So
Mhm.
on the front end, you can have a difficult application process that sort of allows you to screen out certain individuals. And then on the back end, once kids are already there, a lot of these charter schools have as a central aspect of their whole plan disciplinary practices that allow them to suspend or kick out kids that they don't want to educate. And so you can see a way of targeting and sort of reducing the uh, population of who they want to educate that public schools don't have available to them and just don't do because their mission is different. Their mission is not profit. it's more of a public mission. So I think understanding some of those key differences of what actually having a for-profit school means on the ground and for students is something that's really important to understand. And I mean, if you're making a pitch to parents, I think that is something that they can understand too. It's like, do you really want to in which
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out. You can catch the live stream of This Is Revolution every Tuesday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. This is Revolution.